Hey everyone, Chris Gogolin here, bringing you episode number 23 of my GEMP Game review series. We'll do a couple little housekeeping things real quick as we're getting near the end of August. Only a couple of days left for the August OCS matches. And then we're going to do two game reviews today, submitted by players who I don't think I've reviewed any games for them yet before. Um, so want to welcome them to the broadcast and for submitting stuff and looking just as the setup cards. Certainly might see a deck or two that we also don't feature a lot, so this will be a good change of pace. As we see now, just looking at the OCS, there's a pretty critical game going on right now between Wise and Darth Link. They are both qualified already, but Wise has the possibility to kind of play spoiler for a few people. Looking at the OCS here, we've got about exactly 4 days left. Most people have finished their games. Mr. Yellow won his game this morning to move into the top spot. Uh, Charlie Arlinson here picked up another win for himself as well to move into that spot there, but he's got a pretty low opponent win percentage here, and this could, jostle a little bit as some of these other people might squeeze a couple games in, trying to get to their 10 game cap to get um, their foil slip. So that could certainly change. A couple of these guys could move around depending on who they played along the way. Wise is right here, like I said, about to possibly playing spoiler. If he wins, that would put him up to 32, and his opponent would have better than a 50-50 win percentage, so this number would go up a little bit. So that could possibly put him into the third spot temporarily. There's a lot of things that could go on there, and then you still have JCB. He's got 2 games left to play. If he wins both of them, his win percentage, which looks to be pretty strong, would move him into one of the top 2 spots. Then you go down a little bit. You've got No Limit, who's got 3 games left. He would need to win all 3. Then you've got Silver Glen here, who's got 4 games left. If he went 3-1, he would be tied with these guys and probably lose out on the tiebreaker. So he would probably have to go 4-0, making him 11-1 for the month to guarantee. And then I don't think anybody else down here is all too far back to catch up to anybody. So, but again, these guys still playing games here will affect the winning percentage of some of these guys at the top as well. If they played games earlier in the month, and as they start to try and squeeze forward to get those that 10 game cap or that 10 game threshold to get the monthly foil, which I understand is pretty cool from this month. I haven't seen it yet. Not going to spoil or reveal it yet. I don't have it to give out yet, but those should be arriving in a couple of weeks. Um, so yeah, lots of crazy stuff going on there. We'll jump into our first game review. This one was submitted by Avery B. Avery is playing Mind What You Have Learned, which is a deck we do not often see in constructed open formats. It has some interesting cards. It certainly does some interesting things. It always has had very strong abilities with the Jedi tests, but it's a very slow deck in terms of getting itself set up, getting going. It can usually get disrupted if it takes a lot of early damage. Decks like Hunt Down or something where you put a quick drain out there, plus the Visage Ping, can get really disrupted. It doesn't tend to usually do a lot of damage on its own through force draining. It times out a lot if you're playing it in live tournaments because of that fact that you're setting up for 3 or 4 turns trying to get everything going. And then you start mitigating a lot of what your opponent is doing in the later stages of the game. Which oddly enough is kind of similar to what ISB likes to do. It takes a few turns to get up and running, it flips its objective, and then it starts limiting your opponent to their force drains and what they can do, and really kind of grinding the game down. So this game here, we're going to feature 2 players we don't haven't streamed before, I don't believe, engelking and Avery B. engelking went ahead and started the Emperor with According to My Design on the table. Looks like he's got Kuat, IAO. So he's going to pull some systems, probably some capital ships and whatnot. It's always an interesting, risky move there. He's starting the mob points combo, pulling the Executor, but he started According to My Design to let his opponent go first, which means, if Avery had chosen to, he could have pulled the shield, do or do not. I'm sorry, don't do that again, which would suspend this until he occupies a battleground system, which means no executor, which in an ISB deck could be kind of hurtful. You kind of want to, you want to get out fast. You want to pull Bespin and do the free executor to Bespin thing, or even pull Fondor and just deploy it for cheaper there. If you're depending on what you're starting there, this looks like you'll use the docking bays, get Piet out or something. There's a lot of things usually that revolve around the executor in space ISB decks. So starting this, which can easily be suspended and prevent you from getting the executor, seems like a complicated risk. Aver went for a docking bay, wasn't there. He's got one in his hand, so he'll drop that. Now we'll do some Yoda pulls. We'll get a quick look at the deck here to see exactly what we're running. So we've got Yoda, we've got Jedi Luke, lightsaber, bionic hand. We've got EPP, Rey, and Qui-Gon, and Lando. Looks like we've got General Leia, so no Jedi tests that we're seeing here. Playing a bunch of 1.0 Dagobah sites, I guess really just trying to play this more like a mains platform, like you would like a throne room or something like that, where you're just not giving your opponent any force icons, really, other than the 2 you start with the Dagobah system. And then you're just going to just pull these sites. You'll put Yoda out at the hut. That'll limit, help to reduce attrition by 2, might keep some people on the table. Makes Luke a lot harder to get rid of because now he's like technically he's immune to less than 9 in that case, and then you get the hand on him, and it looks like a tank Luke kind of deck. You're just going to build Luke up and kind of have him camp out somewhere. I don't see any battlegrounds here. So I guess he's relying on his opponent to bring the battleground. And so against the space deck, where he's only got a couple of ships and a lot of weapons and things like that for ground-based stuff. We've got Lando's gun. We've got Han's gun. I don't see the blaster ping card, a good blaster at your side, so that may not be the most optimal way to go about building this deck. Could be in this force pile though. There's 4 cards in there. We don't know what those are. I'll get Yoda out. This is old school Yoda? Yeah, this is old school Yoda. So he deploys -2. Nope, this is virtual Yoda. Deploys -2. Okay. If Great Warrior on table, once per turn I take your just drawn destiny to hand to cancel and redraw that destiny. It's very good text, but it requires you to actually try and at least train somebody. He draws those 4 cards. We get Bionic Hand, Home 1, Launching, and a Control. Not Control Tunnel Vision either. Just plain, simple, generic Control. That certainly could be more efficient as combo controls, because then you get to use the force pile searches, as well as the drain canceling and sense alter canceling. Sense alter are not going to work as very well anyway, because Mind What You Have Learned adds 4 to the totals, kind of like Huntdown does for Darkside. So I'd rather see those be control tunnel visions. I think they'd make the deck, help it find what it needs a little more often. ISB is going to pull General Navarre and get him going. We just got to verify there that I missed. If you're general here, during battles at all battlegrounds, add a destiny to your total power. Okay. Gonna grab Akbar. Yeah, Akbar Home 1, Launching. It's a nice solid space presence and Poe. Okay, so he's got lots of space. He just needs more force and a place to put all those guys. He looks to the other docking bay. He's got the Hoth docking bay. And he's going to pull a couple more Dagobah sites. So yeah, I would prefer to at least see him do test 1. Is there anything on here that says you can only, target Luke or Leia? No, right? You can do all this to get them out of the deck, but there's nothing that says that your Jedi tests have to target them. The test would stay on the guy, not on the table. So you could do at least test 1. But just play the training ground as one of your sites and test 1 and float the 2 of them in there. So there we got free executor, thanks to they must never again leave this city. Once per game, executor deploys for free to Bespin system. You can pull the golden run shield, make it cost 2, but unless it's like first turn, it's probably not useful to do it that way. Brangus. And a laser cannon battery. I was going to say, I don't believe Brangus is an ISB agent. Certainly don't see anything in his text that would support that. He's a gambler. Useful for things most likely you see him used for Sabak. Launching the assault deploys on Dagobah? That doesn't seem right. Deploy on any system. I felt like there's Dagobah deployment restrictions that applied even to effects, but maybe that's not coded right in GEMP. Maybe it doesn't matter, and I'm just thinking of how the way the rules were years ago. I don't know. We don't deal a lot with Dagobah cards because, well, they've run their course. So we've got home 1, we've got free Akbar. And we're going to go for the battle. He doesn't have any force saved to shoot that laser cannon battery. He can take a shot in case he wants to play something like Power Pivot or something like that, but for the most part, it's not quite going to work out. I don't know if he remembered this Destiny to Power that Navarre adds over here as well. So he could potentially be down. I mean, there's a lot of characters and weapons in the light side deck here, so he's already down a few. If he doesn't get lucky and blind draw 6s like that, he could have taken at least some battle damage. But he's going to draw 6-4 for 10. This is immune to less than 12. So he's not going to have to lose anything there. The only difference would be possible overflow. He draws a second Brangus. I don't know how he's fishing out docking bays and ISB into his hand to loop guys back with Brangus, but yeah, you can subtract from attrition, but he was already immune to the attrition anyway. And Darkseid really just had to lose a force. And now he's going to run away to Dagobah. So now he's got his best ship sitting at a non-battleground system. Which admittedly is better than sitting in front of a laser cannon battery, where you can easily get shot. He's going to make him pay for that drain. Makes sense. Gets the Cloud City docking bay. Now we've got Ozzel, so we've got more power. We've got another ISB agent on the table. He had an extra Cloud City docking bay in hand, which he swapped. And he's going to deploy Blizzard 4 and pull Vader. What did he get with the docking bay? Oh, he got a second laser cannon battery back. Okay. So he's not flipped yet. Doesn't have 4 agents on the table, but he's got Vader Blizzard 4, which is pretty strong. And he's got Executor, Ozzel, so he could imp command, potentially. Either he's just going to keep getting Dagobah sites. Again, he's not giving his opponent any force really to work with, but he's not giving himself a whole lot either. You know, he's pulling a lot of these 1-0 locations, so he's playing multiple 1-0 locations as opposed to some of the 2-0s and the pullers. He's going to take the creative way to get Poe aboard the home 1, since he can't deploy it directly to Dagobah, because Dagobah deployment restrictions apply, which is why I thought the effect had the issue as well. He deploys him to the docking bay, and then during the move phase, he moves him up to the bridge of the ship. And he draws a few cards. So he's got some options here now. This Vader's immune to Clash. Sorry about the mess, so that's not really going to work to beat up on Blizzard 4 or anything. Drain of 1 and 1. He's going to burn a control. See, this is why I wish those were control tunnel visions. When he's activating 13 force, he could be getting the card he wants out of his force pile there. But I'll stop harping on that. Dark side's going to drain. They're going to move the Emperor over. They're leaving Navarre alone. Could be risky. You know, if light side has a spy, they could easily go down there. And light side decks typically run several spies between Jyn Erso, Corran Horn. Occasionally you'll see Jar Jar. Or maybe like Cassian or somebody like that. So there's usually at least two, though. Corran Horn and Jyn Erso seem to make the rounds. But he could easily have multiple barriers or, you know, Gick or something like that to try and take that down. Alright, so we're going to get the Falcon and Solo. And then we'll get Gold Leader and Gold 1 as well, it looks like. Yep. Probably not going to want to battle with that. He's going to add Lando as a pilot on the Falcon. He's going to put Sabine down as a pilot on Gold Leader, and then move Home 1 back over. He spends all his force to do all this, though. So he won't have any more cards to draw. He won't have any, you know, force for grabbers or anything like that. And Gold Leader and Gold 1's maneuver is pretty low, if I recall. I think it's on like maneuver 3, right? Yeah. So even with the subtraction, on being subtracting 2 for targeting it, he could still spend multiple force to pretty much shoot Gold Leader and Gold 1. I mean, yeah, it's a force choke strategy, because they've got to spend the force to do that, and they've got to spend the force to draw Destiny against Gold Leader. So it could certainly hurt. The Hans Blaster I'm not sure about. I know it does something against undercover spies, right? Let's Hans shoot. Target a character. Once during your control phase may fire using 1 force. So yeah, so it's kind of like a sorry about the mess, but I think that's only... Oops. I think that only works when we've got Han. Oh, it only deploys on Han. So yeah, so it's kind of limited in that aspect in terms of blocking undercover spies. But while I was babbling about that, what we got was Adjudicator, which is the best ship to try and shoot anything with. Each of its weapon destiny draws is +2, and starfighters it hits are power equals 0. So the -2 from shooting at a starfighter, whoops, that's on the laser cannon battery here. Subtract 2 if targeting a starship of maneuver, while Adjudicator adds 2 right back. So that kind of gets around that. So you spend 3 force, and you're basically shooting at +3 at starfighters, and then you hit them and make them power 0. And then we hit anything with this weapon, they also have to lose a force. So Falcon's maneuver 6. So you just need to draw a 4, and you can hit that. Gold Leader and Gold 1 he can hit by not just drawing a 1, would hit that. And Home 1 is armor 8. That would not get the -2. So Adjudicator could shoot Home 1. It would be at +5. So a 4 here hits Home 1. Makes it powers, it's only starfighters it hits are power 0, I believe, the Adjudicator. Yeah, starfighters. So it would not be power 0, but you kill Akbar and Poe and get them off the table pretty darn quick. Oh, and then we get First Strike on top of it. So that's going to, any protective interrupts that that light side may have had, they will not be able to use this battle. So this should be interesting. You know, it looked like a pretty decent amount of mid-range, you know, 4s in the reserve deck for engelking, so he could really do some damage. He's going after the Falcon. He's going to pay the 3, take the shot at the Falcon, and he draws a 3, which will just miss if my math is correct. The GEMP chat log doesn't always properly account for the modifiers and things like that. He'll use the other laser cannon battery. Oh no. He uses the other laser cannon battery and shoots Gold Eater and Gold 1, which hits. But unless he's got the power pivot or something, he's got command to limit light side to 1 destiny, but he doesn't have anything to get Gold Eater off the table, and he's got no force left, so he's not going to be able to draw a battle destiny. I guess it doesn't matter anyway in the grand scheme of things because these aren't forfeit 0, so Gold Eater and Sabine. Oh, I take that back. Quad Drive Yards is out. Starships draw if unable to otherwise. Star Destroyers are not able to otherwise, so I take that back. He does get the draw. Again, still won't make too much of a difference because Sabine and Gold Eater have to be lost anyway. But it does limit the power difference here between light side and dark side. Sabine is going to cause the force loss because light side wins the battle, so they're going to have to lose 2. They top deck or they throw away Phantom Menace and a Stormtrooper Patrol, and then they can lose Ozzel. And then light side loses Sabine, and then finally the ship. But now dark side has no force left to move anybody up, no force to play upkeep on Blizzard 4, no force left to pay to shoot. So it's going to be unlikely that they'll be able to hit anything on their next turn. Now, light side doesn't have anything to really deploy behind it anyway. A couple of good Jedi Lukes and 7 in there. Where's Obi going? Obi's going to space as a passenger. Interesting. This might have been a good opportunity to send Obi to the ground. You can swing and hit the Emperor, clash him to eliminate him from the battle, and then it'd be just Obi against Vader, and maybe you get rid of Vader. Or you just swing at Vader and then clash the Emperor. It makes more sense too. You hit Vader, get rid of him, leave just the Emperor, you Jedi's Resilience, Obi back into hand. You can do some damage later, and you can do both initiate battles in 2 spots, retrieve twice with first strike, because Coward's not out. Coward should be out to limit that retrieval. But he'll get Gold Eater back, so he's got that handy ship, and he top decks to 6. Now he pulls Coward, yeah. He's going to take a blind shot at home 1. He'd have to draw a 6 to hit it, I believe, with the Judicator shooting. Take another shot. If you don't know what destinies are in certain areas, there's certainly no harm in doing these things. He's gotten lucky here and he's drawn 2 1s for weapon destinies and get those crummy destinies off the top of the deck. Trying to get to some of the better stuff that he drew last turn. That was a little further down. So he gets a 4 to power. And he'll get 1 battle destiny. Light side's going to get 3 here though. And the first one was pretty solid, pretty strong. We could see a couple of dark side cards go bye-bye. Ooh, ouch. Can he get all 3? I don't think so. Nope. He can Jedi Lev that though. And then we'll see what that 3rd destiny is. Could it be enough to clear everything? It'd have to be the 7. Or 6, and then he could use Han It's once per game to make it a 7. But he's still going to draw really high, 16. That's definitely going to clear the executor. Ouch. Yeah, because these guys cover 18 right here. So if he had drawn Yoda subtracts, doesn't need to. Brangus goes, executor goes. And all we've got left is adjudicator. Now light side can finally reload their hand a little bit, get some cards back. No stupid iTunes. I do not want to update right now. So he reloads his hand. Gets back plenty of good cards here. He's going to play their tracking us to activate one. Get him a second force in case he needs to play 2 interrupts in this upcoming battle. Or just putting a 4 back somewhere. Now he'll burn a control to cancel a drain of 1. I'm sure there's other cards you could have lost, but I don't know you necessarily need 2. Sorry about the mess combos in your hand. You could have lost one of them instead of the control. See Vader get in and Mara take off. That's certainly one way of doing it. It's a riskier way of doing it because you run the risk of the ship getting barriered and then it's kind of stuck there. You could easily just shuttle Vader up to the Star Destroyer. But if you're worried too, while piloted by an Imperial, but it's only while alone and piloted by an Imperial, so it's not going to add the destiny with Vader aboard anyway. But this is a pretty hefty little space fleet here. Oh, it's got 1 location left to fish out. But we did see a couple of 1s in there, so that's not ideal. But still might be a good time to go take a couple swings at the Emperor. You can send Qui-Gon and Rey. Looks like that's what he's going to do. Doesn't battle on either spot and just passes. That move puzzles me because there's so many options that Lightside had last turn to clear this side out. I'm sure he's probably thinking something along the lines of Darkside's not going to want to battle him with 4 cards in hand, and then he can get off one of these sorry about the mess combos to clear out the Emperor. But he easily could have initiated battle, retrieved a force because he's got 2 battlegrounds now with first strike. Maybe he gets lucky and gets a shot and hits the Emperor, but at the very least, he's going to outpower him. It's 11 to 4. He gets a destiny to power. 11 to 8. They both draw a battle destiny. If Darkseid draws low, you could subtract 2 to keep both these guys here. You take 2 swings at him and you miss him both times. You clash him to get out of the battle. And then you can worry about setting up the sorry about the mess for the next turn. So I don't like that move there, not battling. I think there's just way too much upside for Lightside, and between the first strike damage, the potentially for Rey to retrieve a card if she hits him as well, you can hit him, sorry about the mess, make him lost. You could hit him, clash him, make him immediately lost. If you miss both swings and you don't want to lose a guy, you could clash him to end the battle and try again later, or try the sorry about the mess the next turn. So yeah, there's a lot of options that Lightside had here that not battling doesn't seem like the way to go. Use one force to retrieve one Cloud City location. So he's retrieving the Cloud City docking bays. There's a shield that cancels that, by the way. That puts the docking bays out of play. So he's retrieving the Cloud City docking bays using the text on this particular site. And then I guess he just has to luck into drawing them to get them back into hand. Excuse me. Long day. So now Darkside's going to get to battle. They're going to get to pick and choose how they want to handle things. We're going to get Finn as a react. You can cancel your own react. Yeah, no thank you. And he'll add a few more power. But he put another guy on home 1, and home 1's going to get shot at again. Just needs that magic 4. And he draws the 0. Wah, wah, wah. That's unfortunate. You know, it's a couple of bad Destiny draws that he's had, but sometimes that's the problem when you play these styles of decks that aren't the most efficient at getting their cards out. You know, we saw him play several Sonic Bombardments in the deck, including one just to kind of cycle it back when there wasn't anything in there. Could have saved that for a later opportunity when you know, the prison was available. And now he's going to draw that docking bay that he retrieved. So just not a good round of Destiny draws there for Engelking. And he's going to take a beat down here, which is probably... Well, last light side draw is really bad too, because they didn't have some great Destiny, which is why they avoided battling themselves. Lando's Blaster, again, all these blasters with no blaster card doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, they draw low, but it's still going to be enough to do some damage. They're down 12. It's Vader and top deck, or Maul and top deck 5 cards. Maul and Vader. And now what to do with the Emperor with your last force? Move him away. No, don't activate all 17. Activate like 12. 11. There you go. That was a nice little clump of high Destiny there in the middle that he just got shuffled through. But certainly a solid opportunity here for Avery to battle in both locations and clear this board and retrieve some cards and pretty much put a hammerlock on this game. So first strike kicks in, he retrieves one there. Then Leia kicks in for initiating battle with a resistance character. You can choose whatever order you want to do them in because they're both competing automatic actions. So he gets 2 cards back, 2 low Destiny, Destiny 2 cards. But now he's going to get 2 swings at the Emperor here. If he gets... That's a miss. One of those bad Destiny that he shuffled around. Still get a second swing with Rey. Ouch. There's one of those other bad Destinies that he shuffled around. At least he's not going to draw him for Battle Destiny, though, so that's the upside there. But not hitting the Emperor, making him forfeit 0, will drag this game out a little bit longer. Darkseid gets a Destiny to power, and they've shut down the main reactor. That's a card I'm sure he would have really enjoyed having several turns ago. But did not. So he draws the 5. Lightside gets 20. Darkside's down 12 as it sits. So they're down 9, which is just his forfeit, the Emperor. So no overflow there because he wasn't hit Still had to forfeit a card anyway. Yoda's once per turn, the hut. Once per turn may subtract 2. So using it here, again, doesn't make the most sense because you have to forfeit somebody anyway because you still have 1 attrition left. Um, so if you're going to battle in space, there's the possibility that your opponent could draw high enough to break the immunity on the Falcon. In which case, having I hate when it does that. Which because only immune to less than 5. In which case, having Yoda's ability to subtract 2 would have actually come in handy. Now again, light side's seemingly like they're pulling ahead here in board position and life force. Although not so much in life force because they do have a lot of cards on the table. It's 26 to 22 right now. It's going to take another shot at home 1. There's a 7. Wow. He just hit home 1. And just like that, the game completely turns around for engelking here. He's still in trouble. Let's not kid ourselves here. He's still in trouble. But not nearly in as big a trouble as he was. Oh. Now we get into all these zeros and whatnot. Should have pulled something to shuffle your deck. After you hit it, knowing that you've got a 0, a 4, and then another 0 coming up. Yeah, but light side's going to draw a pile of Battle Destiny, which is going to clear both dark side ships. But then it's just going to be the Falcon hanging out by itself. It's also not necessarily why I would have put Finn here. 2 pilots, 2 passengers. I would have split this up a little better. When I deployed Finn as the react, I would have put Finn on the Falcon. He still adds 3. Wherever he is. There he is. Adds 3 to power of any starship or enclosed vehicle he's aboard as a passenger. So, didn't matter what ship he was on. I would have split him up a little bit, and I would have put Finn on the Falcon just so you don't have all your guys on one. Don't put all your guys in one boat, especially when your opponent has some cannons to shoot at that boat. But they do clear the system, so that's going to give light side a big advantage. They've got board control now. Engelking's getting out activated, 17 to 10. He's only got 3 force left, and he's gonna. Yeah, there he goes. He concedes. So there's not a whole lot he could have done. I mean, he gets the moral victory of shooting down home 1 with all those pilots aboard it, but just not enough he could do after that. He's going to be getting drained for 2 and 2 here for a couple of turns. He's already lost 3 ships. Probably doesn't have too many more, so this is probably going to be continuous. We've already seen Vaders and Mauls lost in the Blizzard 4. They didn't have enough force to pay upkeep on, so not a lot of ground potential to come back, and never flipped his objective. I don't know if he didn't look like he was playing too many ISB agents. Certainly not a lot of the typical ones you see who do all of the the different mechanics when they come into play or leave table and those kinds of stuff. So congrats to Avery for winning with Mind What You Have Learned. Certainly, not what we said, not what we see normally with Mind What You Have Learned decks. Maybe that's why they lose, because they spend too many cards devoted to Jedi testing or things like that. That's always been the age-old dilemma. How far do you test? Do you test 1? Do you do 2 and 3 just because they're easy, especially with the effect? Or do you go all the way to 5 and try and flip and stack a card? But that takes a lot longer to pull off. Also takes one of your better characters, either Luke or Leia, out of play. So, so we got to see some Mind What You Have Learned stuff, and we'll move on to game number 2 here. Game number 2 is also between 2 players who I have not reviewed yet, although I have a sneaking suspicion I've reviewed one of these guys before, just under a different account. So, this game was sold to me as it is light side playing Steve Salucci's Nationals deck with the Tatooine Careful Planning, Yane stuff that I may or may not be fairly familiar with. playing against a Black Sun deck, which is Tom Hade's build, basically card for card from U.S. Nationals as well. So it's almost like a rematch here between Tom and Salucci, between these two games. All right, so quick pause. So light sides, start and Walkling must be allowed to speak. They're going to pull a farm, get some use pile searches. They're going to play Jedi Luke with the weapon, and they're going to kind of hang out at these two sites, and again kind of counter some of what your opponent does. They're going to get Padme, and there's multiple Yanes in the deck when they're together at a battleground. Actually, they may not even have to be a battleground, just when they're together. Yane lets you do some manipulation where you look at a card in your force pile and the top of your reserve deck, and then you can switch them if you want. And then when you use Like My Father to take a High Destiny card from your hand and put it in your force pile, and then you look at them, and then you switch them, and now your High Destiny card that you just took out of your hand is now on top of your reserve deck. So then you battle or do weapons or do things like that. Or you do it in reverse. You put a low Destiny card down and then use Jeanne and move it, and then play something that you want to do cheap, like Neighboring Leads, to move for 1 as opposed to paying 5 or 6. Or you put a High Destiny card back and use On the Edge to retrieve a lot of force. So there's some, depending on the scenario, there's a lot of different manipulation tricks that you can use with that. Dark Side, Black Sun. We've looked at Black Sun in a few decks previously. Black Sun is certainly one of the top Dark Side decks out there right now because of the new Shadows of the Empire card. Between getting locations and doing the force draw and the ping damage, it's certainly one of the most popular Dark Side decks and one of the strongest Dark Side decks in the current environment. Mando, I'm not familiar with. Jyn Erso is someone who has a second account, because if you're ever in the GEMP lobby and you see people who have exclamation points next to their name, it means they were just logged in under a different account and then switched. I have my suspicions as to who Jyn Erso's account is based on the timing of certain things and who shows up with exclamation points, and it is a top level player. But I don't know for certain, so I don't want to out anybody. But yeah, Jyn Erso knows what they're doing. We'll leave it at that. And they're going to go fast. They're going to get the Vigo. They're going to get their sights. They're going to move over. They've got the bounty, so they're feeling protected. They'll pull the Gick just in case something goes wrong. They've got Greedo as a react as well, so probably see him save at least 1. Or 2 rather, because Greedo costs 2 when you're not playing a Scum. Haha. Oh, he does draw that second card though, so I guess he's not worried. Oh, he's going to activate 1 with wipe. Duh. I was going to say he's not worried about needing 2 for Greedo, but wipe them out, let you activate a force during your opponent's turn, so he gets that right back. And he'll pull Dengar. We had 2 Dengars in there. Interesting. Lightside's going to get the farm. Without... Oh, they had 3PO. Typically, the other thing that this deck will do is it will use the hut, it'll pull Shmi, put Shmi there. Shmi pulls 3PO, and then you kind of start to get that up to start your cycle, start moving your cards around through your deck. But you are a little exposed there with just Shmi, because she's only ability 3, she's 1 power, 5 forfeit. So she certainly has the ability to get hurt. The dark side deck here doesn't have a lot of spies in it. It's really, I think, just probably Probot. It's probably the only spy that you'll really see, but they do usually run 2 copies of Ellis Hellrot, and without any Ellis protection, these guys could pop over here, beat the crap out of her, and then just, walk out to the farm. But we'll get some ping damage. Light side's going to need a turn or 2 to really get themselves set up. And Dark Side is certainly going to try and take advantage of that and put as much early pressure on them as they can. Since they're known for playing Sense, we see the Do or Do Not shield come out pretty quick. Goldenrod is also to prevent the Emperor from deploying for free at this site over here at the square. And then battle plan was going to force him to pay for that drain of 1. Which he opts not to do. But instead it's going to be a whole Vigo party. Is Vigo the Carpathian? It's a Ghostbusters 2 reference for any of you movie fans out there, although that's not really a great movie. It has a few memorable lines in it, but that's really about it. So we got the 4-lom now who can start cycling some cards. That's an interesting trick too. Uh, the flip side of the objective, once during each of your battle phases, may peek at top X cards of any reserve deck. X equals number of locations you occupy. So you, during your battle phase, you peek at the top card of your reserve deck, find out what it is, and then decide if you want to drop a card with 4-lom and take it into hand. In this particular case, peeking at the card, it was Zam. It's another character. So knowing that that's there lets you do 2 things. We see him draw the Ellis right now. So now he knows if he wants to Ellis, it would only cost him 2 to do it because that's Zam's destiny number. If he needs to sense something, oh, with the prince on the table, oh, he's only ability 3. What are the chances of that going through? Well, you know it's a 2 because you just looked at it. So, but instead he's going to just opt to take Zam into hand. I might have left that there just a little longer. There's certainly been other opportunities that you could have done things with it. You want a hidden weapons. There's a 2 sitting on top. I mean, obviously not in this situation, but needing to Ellis/sense something and knowing that there was a 2 sitting on top, yeah, certainly could have come in handy. Light side very bravely just puts out a ship by itself with nothing else, nobody piloting it. Doesn't draw destiny. Now, I mean, we did get I know we verified. I don't know if Lightside got a verify to look and see what spaceships this deck is running. I mean, we just saw a Slave 1 in there. If he's really hoping that that barrier is going to hold up. Against the deck that plays sense. Yeah, I mean, this could blow up pretty badly for Lightside there. Unless there's some type of trick going on, I don't know that that's necessarily a solid play. Cycle a card back. We got double back. We look and we see it's Bosk and a Force Lightning. The Emperor's going to start moving over. Only 2 Coruscant sites, so either the 3rd site is buried in the bottom of his force pile, or he's playing something different and just not playing it. I don't think we've seen him use the other part of his text yet, though, to fish out cards. Excuse me. And he just had an opportunity there. He could have sensed the control tunnel vision to potentially limit what his opponent would be able to dig out of his force pile. Now, when your opponent's looking for something, that's not a bad move. Might not have been a bad move to sense that there. But Harksef will up the activation a little bit. 3 non-battleground locations. And there we've got a Ray. Ray gets a used pile pull. Going to a battleground site. This now gets Battle Destiny up here, by the way, because of Harksef adding his piloting ability. Ray fishes out a card, and we get a Yane as well. So now he's going to use the objective and peek and see what's in the force pile. So the site is there. The site's buried. It's the bottom card of the force pile. Slave 1 is 4 cards down. So he would need a way to get that out. That's buried pretty deep. That's what she said. looks like his only ship. So it looks like the only ship he's playing is just that Slave 1. So that's going to be a little tricky to find with it being that far down in the force pile. But knowing that it's the other advantage of knowing with Black Sun where everything is you know exactly how far you have to draw and you know exactly how much you have to spend. So again, he's peeking, he's manipulating, he's tracking stuff around, knowing what he needs to spend, how much damage he needs to do. He's got 2 Boba Fetts, so we may see one come down here and try and go after Rey with Bosk and Zam. Yane's going to activate a force, and he's got a perimeter scan for Mr. Boba Fett. See if that draws out the sense. He grabs it, but he doesn't sense it. I would have thought he might have gone... Oh, coincidentally, the other part of Yane's text, whenever opponent deploys a character to same or adjacent site, you can activate a force. So when you're feeling a little force choked, you put Yane out somewhere, and then they start deploying a couple of guys to go beat her up, and suddenly you've got a whole new pile of force to work with to let you then play some other interrupts and things. Force push. Force push would be huge. He cycles through some cards and gets Cad Bane as well. So that's a lucky draw. Now Boba's going to get excluded here. He's going to peek and see what he's got. He's got 315 on top. Not great. And he opts to shuffle, but the cards in there weren't much better. So he's going to draw low. And he's not going to have the power from Boba Fett. But he still has decent enough power. 14-6. Probably going to end up killing Rey here in this situation. And probably only lose like Bosk in return. Which is a pretty good trade-off. I could lose Zam. If you just lost my Search of Force Pile, I'll take any one card into hand. Lose Zam there, that would let you take the ship into hand. And you could pay the upkeep on Boba Fett. But now the ship's going to get cycled around. Now it's going to end up on the bottom of the reserve deck. Well, not on the bottom. It's going to end up... it was the card he used to move the Emperor with, so it's back in the reserve deck, shall we say. That'll put it somewhere else. Next turn, maybe it'll be easier to get. Maybe he'll just force push for it. He's only got 2 battlegrounds, so he's not doing any ping damage yet. He's got to get that 3rd battleground site or location. So he either has to get to his other site, he's got to get to the Tatooine site over there, or he's got to get the space. Shmi for free. There's Luke. That'll flip. And he's going to get bountied to try and slow down this upcoming battle. And it looks like no control. Tunnel vision or something from light side, so Luke will not be able to battle this turn. Unita, nice. Get Rey back. Use it, redeploy Rey. He'll have about 11 cards to look through. Might be able to find Padme while he's in there. Oh, already had Padme. There you go. So spend a few more. 3PO a card. See what else you get. Putting that card also in the use pile. So if it's a card you want to get back into hand, you can throw any card down. Oh, Anakin. Not putting Rey back down. Okay. Now we'll use Yane to take a peek at both cards and opts to keep them where they are. Clashes Boba Fett. He's going to grab the Clash. This better draw out the sense. Yeah, here comes the sense. That'll get grabbed over there. There shouldn't be any 7s in this deck, so that'll be successful. He'll have to lose 2 force. That Dengar certainly seems like a prime candidate for cards to lose. And top deck's an Ig off the top. And they're still coming through. He's going to put a card back and draw 1. Gets another Emperor that he doesn't need. There's his Force Lightning. So light side uses that last force, shuttles up Shmi to get her out of harm's way. No force left. Now would be a heck of a time for a force push. But he's going to put the Force Lightning back first and draw a card. Gets another sense. I'd like to see a force push here. He finally gets that other sight. The ship is still in there. So now he'll play it. He puts the Emperor and Greedo back. I'd rather would have seen him put a higher destiny card back to take a second Ellis. I guess if he's assuming the first one's going to get canceled, or might get canceled, he's really just going for the home run here because Ellis is non-unique. He's moving everybody but the Emperor over for 3. And light side with no grabber available. They might have It's a Hit to cancel it. Probably not playing sense. So this is going to be a big beatdown. We've got 35 power, 3 battle destiny. We've got a weapon from P59. Shooting at Yane. Gonna hit Yane. And I'm gonna have to lose 2 force for that. So then what we're really hoping here, Darkside's really hoping here is that light side doesn't have a Hoojix. Or even if they do, they may or may not end up needing to play it in this situation. Because these guys really have pretty strong forfeits. Luke and Anakin are also adding 1 each to the total. But they're really hoping to clean out a lot of these characters and get some of them off the table. You get rid of Luke and the lightsaber and possibly flip the objective back. The Prince just got hit. Cad Bane cancels his immunity. She adds a destiny to attrition when she's with either a Skywalker. Black Sun not known for drawing the highest destiny, so we'll probably figure somewhere around 10 between these 3 cards. Seems realistic. That's still going to give them a huge power advantage. And they get 8. Okay. That'll put them to 43, so they're up 25 right now. On light side, they'll get a battle destiny, which will get added to 2, become a 4. Oh, they'll Jedi Lev that. It's not worth risking a sense over. And they draw just another low destiny card to back it up. Then they'll add a little to attrition, which will get a 3rd character in this situation. Yeah, up to 6. So that's going to be 10 attrition total. That's probably might be 3 characters. Let's just take a peek here what we've got, because the Vigos are only forfeit plus when they are not, well, in a non-Coruscant site. Oh no, forfeit +2 and present. That's only the force drain bonus part. Forfeit +2 and present with the Prince or another Vigo. So he lost the Prince first, but luckily they're with other Vigos. So you can go ahead and lose 2 Vigos to cover the 10 in attrition, or a Vigo and somebody else. I don't know that I would lose Zam just yet. Actually, losing Zam might not be bad. You get 11 cards in your force pile. Losing Zam might not be such a bad idea. Lose Zam and a Vigo, take a card. Lightside's got to lose 17 here in battle damage. You're looking at Anakin, Padme, and like a couple of cards, 2 cards. Certainly could have been a lot worse. Nope, you're just going to peel 2 Vigos. I seriously might have lost Zam to get any card you wanted out of your force pile. Don't want to retrieve those Vigos, that's for sure. He's going to move Zam away by himself, trigger the force pile, draw a card, cause the 1 ping damage, because he's got 3 battlegrounds now. Now he's drawing into a bunch of cards he does not want. A 3rd Boba Fett. Ooh, Voyeur. Voyeur's a fun card because then you get to look through the list of all the interrupts that you could possibly name. He's going to name Blaster Proficiency because we know we saw him draw one of those for Destiny. There's 1 in there. So then he either has the option to make him lose a force, play the card used, or he can make it the lost version to make that card lost. Used seems reasonable. Just do 1 force loss. I mean, he could 3PO for it, but he can't quite activate to it. He's activating 17. He can get close to it. He can get pretty close to it. Depending on maybe he's got something else going on, whether or not he can find a way to get that into hand. We'll take a Force Lightning, put the Force Lightning back, and just keep doing the cycle with Forlom to draw cards. Put some of those Emperors back. Start tracking around some 6s, because that's what you're going to need to get rid of Luke. Need some 6s. But light side does start to get draining now. I think you've got some Boba Fett's here you wouldn't mind losing. Well, no. Lose a Dengar from used pile. Okay. I have a feeling that space drain is just going to kind of go uncontested. With just that Slave 1 and Boba Fett kind of hanging out on the ground already. I'm sure we'll see Luke move away. Yeah. Control television, a fist for a card. Ops not the sense. I'm okay with that one this time around. He's got 13 cards in his hand, so... I'm sorry. I'm looking at that backwards. He had 5 cards in his hand, so... And a number of characters dead already. Probably not a key interrupt, though, that's worth getting your sense stacked and losing 2 over. It's not going to make a huge difference at this point in the game with the board position and things like that. We're going to see Luke move over anyway. He's not going to battle. They might battle with Sabine and Solo first, I guess, but... Yeah. He had quite a few characters left, it looked like. And he's going to draw some cards around between reserve deck and used pile. Or a force pile there. And he's got the second Battle Destiny now because Solo and Rey are together. It's just going to be a Gix situation. Ouch. Definitely going to be a Gix situation. Which is fine. That is absolutely fine. Sabine will not cause the force loss. Let me think she was just put down to die. Well, with an Imperial or 2 rebels. Not with 2 rebels, not with an Imperial. So no force loss. So Sabine dies. Zam dies, ironically enough. The card on top of the deck was a 1. So Zam could have Ellis'd away if necessary. Take Greedo out of the force pile. And then kick the battle damage. And we'll see Luke move away. Light side, dark side can retrieve. If they get a 3rd battleground back, they can retrieve an ISB guy into hand. I'd say you kind of get the prince back after he dies. And there's another Ellis. Battle plans out. Probably not paying to drain, so we'll probably just activate a bunch. Ellis the party over. Yep. With only 1 force saved. Not a lot to have to worry about with Clash or quite a mercenary. That's the card I was thinking of. In terms of those guys all being lost, you would have a sense to back it up if necessary. So it's kind of what you're holding that for. Are those the home run cards? You know, you're in a good position here on the board right now. Throw Greedo down, keep him from swinging. By using that 1 force to grab the Ellis now, he doesn't have any force left. So you put Greedo down. Greedo makes you have to use a force to fire a weapon. Also keeps you from using neighboring leads, which would keep them from potentially moving away. He'll keep your eyes open to prevent P-59 from shooting somebody. But neighboring can't transport to or from here, and they have to use a force to fire a weapon. So no weapons being fired. We're just going to get to some battle destiny. So it's going to be 3 on 2. Like those old 3 on 2 fast break drills. Wow. Dark side drawing very well here. They get to 13. That's going to clear 2 people. Rey and Solo would both have to go. But light side's going to draw 2 of their own. And if they're tracking right, they should know where their sorry about the mess combo is. Now, it doesn't really matter in this case because they've got 2 cancelers, but it would still be nice to see them try to, you know, you're going to lose Rey and Solo here. It'd be nice to see them try and track that around and try and pick somebody off. I actually hurt Dark Side a lot worse than it did Light Side. They lose just about everybody in this battle. That did not go nearly according to plan. Light Side definitely drew pretty well for themselves. Please hold. Oh, sorry about that. I take a phone call from the missus regarding dinner. That age-old question, what's for dinner? What do you want for dinner? I don't care. What do you want for dinner? Yeah. All right. So Darkside has a pile full of cards in their hand, but it's a lot of the same guys over and over again. You've got multiple Boba Fett's, and you kind of ran out of bounty hunters. Um, and you've got a couple of Emperors still floating around, but he's already on the table and doesn't do you much good offensively. We seem to be stuck between turns. Light side certainly has lost a few cards, but seem to be stuck. Try fast forwarding, doesn't seem to work. Well, that's unfortunate. I was kind of curious to see how this game was going to end up. Let's see if I have any messages about it. Or did he just leave before we're in the activate phase? That would be unsportsmanlike. That would stink. Oh, there we go. Where's that email? Game replay. Well, the game actually did finish, according to the note I got. Spoiler alert, Mando says he won by 1. Well, not sure what happened here with the rest of the link, why it froze up. But I guess that's going to do it for this episode. If the video's not going to want to finish, I'm not going to reload it and fast forward through 6+ turns for 15 minutes just to get to the point where we find out that he wins by 1. So let's, yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up here. But thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Be sure and subscribe to my channel, of course, if you haven't already. If you haven't signed up yet for the September OCS tournament, that's registration's going on now. You have about another 10 days or so, 2 weeks, I think, left for that. But the event is going to start Friday night for most of you because the GEMP timer is set to uh, Greenwich Mean Time, which is English time. So it's like 5 hours ahead of East Coast America, 8 hours ahead of West Coast America. So it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday for West Coast, California, Oregon, Seattle people. Of course, we got the World Championships coming up in October, first week of October. So if you're planning on attending that, also want to sign up by September 1st so you get the discount and you get the exclusive AI foil virtual slip that's being given out to all the pre-registers by September 1st. After September 1st, you can still sign up for the tournament. You just don't get the $5 discount or the AI slip. But as always, thanks for watching. Please keep sending me game links. I'm actually running a little low on game links, so if you have a couple, don't hesitate to send them on over. Always like getting them, especially from players who I haven't streamed before. So thanks for watching. Have a great night.